We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to say thank you all for being here today. I got to tell you, this is a great turnout. The team has put a lot of work into getting ready for today. Our partners are here. Many of our clients are here. And I want to say the event today is a tremendous event, but it's for you. We want you to take away as much knowledge as you can from the presenters. We want you to network with each other. Certainly network with us, our team, and our partners here today, because this is really an event that we put on for you guys that are in the audience today. And we really think there's a lot of value. We know it takes a lot for you to take time out of your day to be here and for the full afternoon, and so we're committed to making sure you get as much value as you can out of the day. With me on stage today, we've got, my name is David Friedrichs. I'm our business lead for our Dynamics 365 practice at Covenant Technology. And with me is my colleague, Mike Busby.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm the technical side of our CRM practice and hopefully soon a full-blown AX practice.
Very good. So just a couple of opening remarks. We will go through on the slide, and I'll step out of the way. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to stand. I think right over here is about good. Many of you have seen this already. I know I saw Steve walking around the room with the Wi-Fi passcodes. If you need that, it's available. Just let somebody know and we get that for you. There are rapid charge stations over by the windows, so we want to make sure if your devices need a charge, you're able to get those things charged up and continue on. As far as the rest of the needs, we had lunch already, but restrooms are out the door and just past the elevators down the hall. So any questions on any of that? All right, great. This is our agenda. It's also going to be, well, it's on your tables, and so you can certainly refer to that. It'll come up here on the screen over here on the left. We've got a number of sessions. I don't want to go through it all, but welcome and intro now. We've got Barb from Microsoft is going to talk to us about what's new in D365, and then our team members, Bobby, will go through our CRM on-premise to online, a migration story. We're really lucky and really fortunate to have Kim Rodriguez, one of our clients, on a major project that we've been undergoing with Enterprise Holdings. And she's here today to really give you a user's perspective, a user story of what that journey is like. So really appreciate that. We'll take a break. We'll come back in, and then David Williams on our team at Covenant. He's got a couple of topics. He's going to talk about our Dynamics 365 storage and options that you have available. And then we'll go into some discussion around portals and licenses. Following that up, we will have one of our business partners from Mazik, Syed Fahad will be talking about Dynamics 365 operations, or otherwise AX, kind of the other side of the equation. And then we've got Gary, who is one of our leads of our data analytics practice at Covenant. We'll be talking about that topic, and we'll get things wrapped up. So we've got a great venue. I'm amazed at this venue. It's a nice place. We're really fortunate to be here, and a great lineup for you. So thanks again for being here, and I think we'll just kind of get moving right on into it. Mike, you had a couple more things you want to say, right?
So again, I want to also reemphasize what David did. Thanks to all the partners being here, Microsoft for supporting us and being a partner of ours. Mazik, they're helping us round out our Dynamics 365 practice and allow us to offer a full-blown stack, a suite of items. We're working really nicely on a current project, and we hope to have several more coming down very shortly. And then also want to thank Kim and Enterprise Holdings for being able to be here and present on that. So, Covenant Technology Partners. The thing that I liked and that attracted me to this company is we focus on the Microsoft stack. Not only that, but we're a Microsoft partner and we're managed by Microsoft. We have a bi-weekly meeting standing with the CRM or Dynamics 365 practice with people directly from Microsoft that help us identify, work on projects, and communicate inside the Microsoft ecosystem. So it's a very unique situation, and it's a very nice part. So with that, it offers opportunities and opens doors for us in very unique ways. So with it, the Covenant part, we focus on multiple items within Microsoft, and we're strictly a Microsoft shop, so our practices are aligned around stuff. We have portals. We've got custom applications. We do the cloud, so anything in the cloud. O365, if you need to stand up servers. Data analytics, which we'll hear from Gary shortly on. And then the Dynamics 365 with solutions, coming up with Salesforce, field service, project service, and soon to be retail and talent. Thank you. And then finally operations of bringing in the AX into the solution. What's really nice about this is all these play together very nicely. They all work with each other very nicely. As a Dynamics practice, we're with clients, we'll bring in the data analytics for reporting to help migrate data through. We'll bring in the portals group that if we have to have an external portal outside of the standard portals that are offered with Dynamics, which we'll get to hear a little bit more about. Custom app, so you're going to hear a little bit about the Azure storage. We've brought in the custom apps side to reface that a little bit to make it a lot more user-friendly. And then the cloud. Again, some of the details with it, but we're basically setting up Azure SQL, we're exporting the data to it and using that as a data repository. So the nice part about it is even though we're a Dynamics practice, we've got support and help on very specific items outside of Dynamics 365 to provide a full-blown solution. Very unique to most of the partners out there. They're not all full suites, or they don't have all these practices that can help a client from every directions without having to go out to multiple sources to do that. So what I wanted to jump into is this Dynamics 365. Barb's going to kind of get into some more details on it, but there's one thing in particular that really excites me about this. For years, we've heard CRM, 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 and then what was next? XRM. CRM can be anything you want, so they're going to put a little X in front of it, that it could be marketing, it could be HR, it could be all these different things, so they call it HRM. Well, in the spring release, there's a big piece that they're not talking much about, and they're pulling the solutions out of CRM. It's going to be a base solution. With that base solution, you can add Salesforce. You can add marketing, you can add talent, you can add retail, you can add project service or field service. All these pieces go in to produce one complete solution, but you're not forced into starting off and buying the CRM like you used to in the past, and it always automatically came with Salesforce automation. You had no choice in it before. Now you have a choice. So what's happening is they're getting this base layer, they're stripping all the other things out. I can only imagine what this is going to do. It's going to open up a lot of new avenues and a lot of new different things, but ultimately you're going to see a lot more solution-based solutions coming out. And they all work together with the common data model underneath and this stuff. So I think this is kind of a great big stepping stone for them. It's not a backwards move. I think this is kind of getting the platform to where it needs to be, where it becomes more of a development platform and a line of business applications on top of that. So that's the part that really excites me is this is coming out now, but 2018 releases, how are they going to build off of it? And I think this is going to give them a very good, clean starting platform from it. So,
thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
So we captured this text message. Take a moment. So all kidding aside, Microsoft, anybody who's in the public eye, as much as Microsoft or some other companies, they're always easy targets for making fun of. But I couldn't say more about Covenant's partnership with Microsoft. It dates back to, our founding partner was with Microsoft before he formed Covenant, and it's really at the fabric of our organization. Mike mentioned a number of those things. I won't go back through them, but regular meetings, regular interaction. Our partnership with Microsoft is part of the part and parcel fabric of our firm. And so it's with great pleasure, I want to go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the day, and that is Barb Borrowman to help us to talk about D365. Barb?
Thank you. All right, so sounds good. I can already hear myself. So I'm going to spend about the next 30 minutes to talk about some of the new features that are going to be coming out with our spring release. Well, actually, we'll call it the July update was our official terminology. And I have to get my legal out of here, kind of our comments out of here. So this is still a pre-release product. It's what we call preview. So everything you see today and hear me talk about today could potentially change until we come general availability, which I think is around the November timeframe. But hopefully you'll enjoy kind of hearing about some of these new solutions that I think you guys are going to be excited about and give you a good reason to move forward to our next version. So when we look at the July update, there's kind of 5 pillars of where we have made some improvements and some changes. The first one is the LinkedIn integration. And so that's going to be bringing the acquisition within LinkedIn. We're going to bring a lot of that information that's in your LinkedIn account and bring that right into Dynamics 365. So when you're sitting in there, you can see a lot of the information about the customers you're trying to reach out to and people you're trying to make relationships with. The second is Customer Insights. That is a new application from Dynamics 365. And it's going to give you that Customer 360 view of what's happening. So that's our new buzzword that you'll probably get sick of us hearing is Customer 360, but it gives you that overarching view of what's happening with that customer. Then the user experience, we've revamped the interface, what you guys are working with, and added some new features and functionality to make it a product that's a little easier for you to use. The Business Edition I'm not going to touch base on today. But then the last thing I'm going to touch about is what we have done to the platform, what we're doing to make it a more secure and a more scalable platform for you to use. All right, so first thing I'm going to talk about is the LinkedIn integration. And I like to bring this out because, why do you guys care that we're bringing in LinkedIn into Dynamics 365? What is that going to mean for you? We know that the way that you are selling to customers today has changed. They're a lot more educated. There's a lot more people that are involved with the buying process. And that opportunity of picking up the phone and doing a cold call or sending an email to someone to try and get introduced to them is not very successful anymore. So bringing in this LinkedIn integration, we're going to have a lot more information that's going to help you to make a more warmer connection to whoever you're trying to reach to and give you a lot more information about maybe other contacts within the company that would be good for you to reach out to so that you can expand who you're working with. And again, we're bringing this right inside of the Dynamics 365 application so that your sales reps or the people that are using the solution don't have to be changing to different applications. I have a couple of more slides that are just going to deep dive a little bit more into what we're bringing up here. So as you can see here, this is Dynamics 365, and we have an opportunity open, and you can see we're pulling in the information about that contact that is associated with this opportunity. So we'll pull in their LinkedIn profile so you can see maybe if there's been any job changes, what they're posting about. Good information that if you're going to pick up the phone and talk to them, that would be good to have at your fingertips. We're also going to have what we call recommended leads. And this would be other people that are within that account that maybe are in the same sales role or just in that same company. And they would be good people that we think you should reach out to. Because again, we know that buying decisions are made by more than just one person now. And you need to have a network of people in that company to make sure that you're moving forward with your business. And and hopefully I'll make it through this, coming off a cold here. The last thing I was going to talk about is that warm introduction. That is very critical for starting to build a new relationship with someone. And what we have now at our fingertips is not only everyone that you have in your LinkedIn, but everybody that is in your company. So for me at Microsoft, anybody that is in LinkedIn and has a relationship with someone within Microsoft, I could potentially see that, and then I could ask them to do an introduction to whoever I'm trying to reach at that company. And we know that's going to be much more successful if that customer is being reached out to by someone that they know. Hey, you know, I have a relationship with them. They're introducing me to someone new. That is going to be a much more successful way to open up that opportunity. The next piece I'm going to transition into is that customer insights that I had mentioned earlier. Again, that's that customer 360 view. It's going to be working with external data that we're going to be pulling into Dynamics 365. And we're going to be using also some of our Azure machine learning to do some predictive analytics on that data, to give you a feel for what's truly happening with that customer. Are they happy? Are they mad at you? So you can see over there on the top, we're going to be taking in data from both a transactional side. What have they purchased from you? What events are they attending? And then we also have data on the behavioral side. From LinkedIn, we could see what some of the sentiment is, some of that social, what they're posting out there. In addition to, we'll have a great connector, of course, with Exchange. So we'll be able to see what's happening from an email perspective. Let's say you have a great opportunity out there, what you think is a great opportunity, and it's going to be hopefully closing soon. But we see that of the last 20 emails that you've sent to that account, none of them have been read. So that's we're going to kind of analyze that data and bubble that up and say, hey, I don't think this is quite the opportunity. I don't think it's going to close quite as quick as you think it is, because they're not reading your emails. Or maybe it's conversely that they have taken that proposal and they forwarded it over to 3 other people. That is a really good sign, because they are interested in that proposal and they want to get feedback from other people in that group. So that is the information. You can see we're going to kind of gather all that data ingested in. Maybe we store it in the Azure Data Factory. Maybe we store it in an Azure SQL database. We're going to use all the machine learning that we can, give you all those insights that I just talked about so that you can actually take action on it and be able to do something with that information, because that's the key. We know there's all this big data out there, but being able to look at it and be able to take action on it, that's the next big step. And then customer insights is going to come up again. Hopefully this looks familiar in a Power BI dashboard. Customizable so that you can make sure the data that is important to you is going to be in that dashboard, and that you guys and your sales rep or whoever is looking at that management is going to be able to move forward and take insights into that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our user experience. So what you as a user will see when you're utilizing Dynamics 365. We had a lot of our customers and our partners give us feedback on what they didn't like about the interface and what we could do to make it better. So we have some key kind of points up there. We're changing the borders and the spacing. A lot of times you couldn't really tell where maybe one column ended and one started. It was not a really good use of white space, so we're changing that. We have a little bit more of a color theme up there. You can see we have a darker gray box up there that's going to allow you to kind of see where that area ends. We're going to have map text wrapping. So that was kind of a pain that you guys had to sometimes spend a lot of time and energy making sure that the data that you put out there actually looked nice. And so we're going to take care of a little bit of that for you too. The other thing that we have added is a multi-select option set. So for those of you that maybe play in the space and actually utilize it, this hopefully is something that you've been asking for a long time, because I know it was one of the top features that people have been asking for. So what a multi-select option is the ability to, if you have a list of components, and I'm going to do this, hopefully the demo works, we're good today, like a list of regions. Now you can select multiple regions that you are using for maybe a sales purpose, or multiple areas that you're going to be covering. And now we have that ability to do that and be able to select multiple ones. Seems like something that you would think we would have already had, but it is something new that we have we'll just be coming out with, and it's a great new feature. So for the techies in the room, it's just a new attribute type that you will say, and it's going to be a multi-select. And you can actually leverage some of the option sets that you've already created, which will be really helpful so you don't have to recreate the wheel and build out these new sets. Okay, so what are we doing to the platform that you guys are going to care about? We are adding a little bit more from a security perspective and having session management. So the ability to take someone that's been inactive for 10 minutes and log them out of the system. So maybe you have some sort of higher security regulations. And then we're also going to have the ability to only have a session be open for a certain amount of time. Again, maybe you want to have only an 8-hour window that people can be logged in, and after that time, they're going to be logged out. We'll give them some notices, of course. You're going to be logged out, and it's completely definable for you guys, but a little bit more security built in if you need that in your environment. We're also going to be enabling third-party search. From a backup and restore perspective, I know we're touching base on this later, but we're going to allow you to have a customer-initiated backup, and you're going to be able to put that backup offline from a storage perspective, or also up in Azure. And we're also going to have a virtual entity. I'll do a little bit more on the virtual entity, but pretty much it's going to allow you a way to attach to external data rather than having to import that in and having two sets of data, or and being able to work with that data a little bit more. So I have a couple of screenshots up here of what the actual session timeout looks like if you're curious of what that looks like. But again, as you can see up there, we're going to be able to set the timeout session for how long that they are able to use that. And then again, the inactivity. If someone's been inactive for 10 minutes, then you will log them out of the system to give you guys some more security around it. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more on virtual entities. As I mentioned, a virtual entity is really just a way to get access to external data. We kind of know, we've always worked with external data in Dynamics 365, but it's never really had a good story. We could, from the client side, we could embed a page and have a URL and kind of have some of that data come in, but then you couldn't really do anything with that data besides just look at it. You couldn't manipulate it or take more action on it. On the server side, we could do a bulk import of that data so we could manipulate it and take some more action on it, but then we're in a situation where we have two sets of data. Which one is the master, keeping them in sync? Again, it wasn't a really good solution for us. So that's what virtual entities is hopefully going to solve for you. So out of the box, we're going to support an OData endpoint. So hopefully your technicians will be able to say, oh, that's great, because a lot of our data, we have an OData connection to it. So out of the box, without any code, you guys will be able to access that data and surface it up in Dynamics 365. We'll also have the ability in the Cosmos database, which is in Azure, and that's a NoSQL database, so it doesn't have really any format. It's more of an unstructured data, so that might be another repository that you guys have or are looking at moving that data into Azure. And from a custom perspective, of course, your developers can do anything with those data plugins and create a data map for maybe some legacy system, some data that you have in a legacy system. Okay, so how do you configure these virtual entities? It is really just a flag. You'll create a new entity, and there'll just be a flag up there that you will check this box and say, I want it to be a virtual entity. So it's a simple check mark. And what that says to Dynamics is, this data is not going to be in the standard SQL database that we're expecting. It's going to be in an external data source. So then we're going to have this data, this data source, which is a new, kind of a new concept that we're introducing. And really all that is a way for the OData connector to kind of be created. And you can see here we've got, it's just a Contoso widgets database, and there's our URI connector. So when you're in Dynamics 365 and you're running your application and you want to access that external data, then it's going to make a call out there. It's just a web service call that will go out to that database. We'll pass the parameters that it needs to find that data, bring it back in, and we're going to change that data so that it can be surfaced up into Dynamics 365. So from a customer's perspective or an end user's perspective, the data is going to look the same. So we're pulling in this widget rotor number from an external database. It looks the exact same to them, whether it's coming up there or whether it's going to be coming up in a subgrid. So the biggest thing is there's no real change for your end users. That information will look like it's just stored right inside of Dynamics 365. Organizational Insights is a new application that we came out with. This was in preview in fall, so some of you may have played with it. But this is an application that's out in AppSource that you can download and pull in as a solution into Dynamics 365. And what this is going to do is really give you insights around who is using your Dynamics 365, because we know that is a big hurdle sometimes is to make sure that the adoption is there and we know that users are actually using this application. If they're not using the application and pulling data in there, it's not going to be any good however great that application is and however great your implementation was. So there's kind of 5 different areas that we're going to be grabbing information. But again, it's really going to help you to drive adoption so that you know that your users are actually using this, who's an active user, help you identify some power users that maybe could help other people out. It's going to help you monitor your storage. Where are you using a lot of the storage inside of Dynamics 365? And it'll help you kind of troubleshoot too. You will get a list of your plugin success rate, which ones are more active, how much is that execution time. So you could actually help troubleshoot if people are complaining that this is running slow. This application will help you to kind of troubleshoot, why is that? What are we having these problems? All right, I'm going to sneak out and hopefully keep our fingers crossed. The demo gods are good with us today. And just do a brief demo of the actual application itself so you guys can see a couple of things. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this in the back of the room. A little bit small. But this is the new application, the new UI. I'm going to pull up an account here. And you can kind of see some of the features that I talked about, a little bit of a grayer bar. We have more defined differences between the columns. Up here we have 3 tabs, and now you can very easily see which tab that I'm on because it's going to be whitened, and that was really hard, something people complained about before. You can see here we have these little dots. That's to signify that data can actually be entered in there, so we know that we can put data in there. And if there's just a white area here, we actually have some notes now. So you can see here there aren't any notes to share. To get started, enter a note. Or over here, there were no contacts found. It's not that everything is missing and there's just all this white space. It's that there just aren't any. And if you want to add a contact, you can hit that plus sign. So a little bit more prescriptive guidance around it to keep everyone understanding what's happening. And here's an example of the Multiselect. So you can see in regions here I have 4 different regions that are chosen for this customer where this customer sells into. And that's just because we had multiple ones selected, so we could just select whichever ones we want. All right, so let me go down a little and show you about that Salesforce or the Sales Navigator integration. So this is an account, so I have information about the account is pulled right into this opportunity. I don't have any leads set up, but on these connections now, let's say I'm trying to break into Netcom. I want to either move a deal forward, or this is an account that I have actually focused on. So I can see right here, Peter O'Keefe, I have a first level connection with him. So I could reach out to Peter and be able to ask him about other people in the company. And I have the ability here, I can see that the founder and CTO, who would be probably a really good resource for me to try and get introduced to, is also a connection. And if I clicked on this team link, I could actually see how I could get connected to him. It's probably through Peter, so it's me and I know Peter, and Peter knows him. So then I can reach out to Peter and say, hey, I really would love to have an opportunity to be introduced to your, your founder. Is that something that you could, open up an email and help me out with that? And again, they are going to be more open to that email or that phone call because it's coming from someone that they know. All right, let me sneak over to one other area and show you a little bit more about the about that integration. So I grabbed Doug Meyer here as a lead. I want to sell him some CRM stuff. And as you can see, it pulls in his information, all of his information that's coming from LinkedIn, so I'd be able to understand what's happening in his life, job changes and all that. And you can see over here we're in the icebreakers, so just like it sounds, this is information that will help you break the ice with that person. So we can see here is that we've actually both worked at Microsoft. So that would be a way we could start the conversation. I see you used to work at Microsoft. I'm working there now. And we can also see that we have a lot of shared connections. When I click on this Get Introduced button, here is the list of all the connections, and as I mouse over them, I can see where those are at. And there's David. He works at the same company. Obviously, that would be a good person that I could reach out to try and get that connection. All right, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys all enjoyed this information and grabbed some good tidbits out there on what's coming up in Dynamics. Thank you. Questions? If there are some questions while we're switching PCs, we do have a microphone there if anyone has any quick questions they want. Otherwise, I'll be hanging out in the back for another couple of hours, and then I'm rushing off to the airport to my next one. Yes?
Do these LinkedIn features require LinkedIn Sales Navigator licenses?
Yes. We have a new offering with Microsoft that you can buy both the LinkedIn Sales Navigator and the Dynamics 365 for Sales together. That's only through an enterprise agreement right now. If you could certainly buy the Sales Navigator yourself and do this integration, that is just a widget that you would get from AppSource. And then you just log into your Sales Navigator account after you've imported that solution, and then it grabs that connection. So it's something that we're trying to make a little easier from that buying perspective, but if you have both Dynamics 365 for Sales and Sales Navigator already, then you can already start moving forward. Yes?
Just a minor item, the text wrapping.
Yep.
How does that work exactly, and does that apply to like the labels that we put out there? Just the data that's being entered?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure where we're all doing it, and I don't know how they accomplished it. And I'm not sure if it's just kind of on that data that's coming in or if it's all the labels. So we can definitely take that as an action item and get a little bit more information for you on that. But
Shows it on the labels too.
okay, excellent. It is in the preview. It's a legal disclaimer. It's not GA yet. It is showing it on the labels. Thank you. Excellent. Yes?
The data security part, is it going to come up next agenda? I'm just wondering, I wonder the security part of data, how data started.
Oh, how secure is the data that when it's going into the cloud?
How it's implemented? Roughly.
How it's implemented? We have a great area out there called the Trust Center, and that will list out not only for Dynamics 365, but Office 365, all of the different security measures from both a physical security. We have these pod structures, and you can only get into certain areas, to all of the security that we do, encrypting the data. It's encrypted data at rest, and when it's traversing, and then just a lot of other features on that. So if you just did a search under Dynamics 365 Trust Center, you'll get to that site, and there's just a tremendous amount of information on what we do to actually secure the solution. We have, I want to say, like 47 security certifications, so it's something that we take very seriously, and we put a lot of effort into making sure that that data stays secure. Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you again. I greatly appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of the day.
All right. Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.